Hi guys, so this is chapter 7 in your syllabus, and again in your textbook it will be chapter 10 and also chapter 11. So I have divided the chapter 7 into two videos, which is this is the first part, and later on will be in the second part, chapter 7. Yeah, so in this first part of chapter 7 you are going to learn on the pricing, okay, which is your second marketing mix. The first one that you have learned was the about the products, okay, so this one, the second one, will be about pricing. Now the learning objectives include to answer the question what is a price and discuss the importance of pricing in today's fast changing environment. Secondly, to identify the three major pricing strategies, and then we're going to discuss the importance of understanding the customer value perceptions, company costs, and also competitor strategies when setting the prices. And the third part of this chapter will be on identifying and defining the other important external and internal factors affecting a firm's pricing decision. So let's look at the first learning objective. So what is actually a price? Basically, it is the amount of money charged, yeah, for any product or service that people buy or the consumer buy. Or it can also be defined as the sum of all the values that customers exchange for the benefit of having or using the product or the service. Okay, it's very simple. Now let's move on to the second learning objective. First, we will see that this particular framework, okay, where you have the product cost. This is from the company side, okay, and this is from the consumer side, where the consumer's perception of the value of it, okay. There's a price floor, which normally you will see on the production cost, yeah, and from the from the company's perspective, okay, and the consumer on the other hand will see the price ceiling, whereby if they think that the price is too expensive, okay, then they will not buy the product, okay. And in between you have the competition and other external factors, okay. It includes the competitor strategies and prices, the marketing strategies, objective, and also the marketing mix, and the nature of the market and the demand itself, okay. This is when the price is cheap and this is when the price is very expensive. So if customers perceive that a product's price is greater than its value, okay, they will not buy it. Yeah, because they see that the value is that much but the price is so high, so they will normally not buy the product. And on the other hand, if the company prices the product below its cost, okay, meaning to say you want to give it a very cheap price, but then what happens is that you will have to put it below your cost price, then the profit will suffer, right? So between the two extremes, the right pricing strategy is one that delivers both values to the customers and also profits to the company. So you have to find the balance between getting the profit for the company and also delivering to the customer so that they perceive that the value of the product is equivalent to the price that they are paying. Then we look at the customer value-based pricing. Okay, so the value-based pricing uses the buyer's perception of the value rather than the seller's cost, which this is the value-based pricing, which is customer-driven, meaning you always put how customer will think about the price. Okay, while the cost-based pricing is about product-driven, okay, from the company side, and price is set to match this perceived value. So you can see the comparison here when you do the cost-based pricing and also value-based pricing. So in the cost-based pricing, you design a good product and then you determine the product cost, set a price based on its cost, and convince buyer to buy the products. And then the value-based pricing, on the other hand, you will assess the customer's needs and value perceptions, and then you set the target price to match the customer perceived value, determine the cost that will be incurred when you produce it, and then you produce or design the product to deliver the desired value at target price. So in these two, which one that you think most likely will be bought by the customers? Of course, it's value-based pricing, isn't it? Okay, because when a good company, okay, or what they call it, a brilliant company, they will think of this value-based pricing, because they will try to make sure that the customers will see the value in the product that they buy. So a customer value-based pricing is a good value pricing, okay, which is offering just the right combination of quality and good service at a fair price, which is not too expensive nor not too cheap. Yeah. In this customer value-based pricing, there is what we call the everyday low pricing, or the EDLP, which involves charging a constant everyday low price with few or no temporary price discounts. Okay, so that means this is always cheap price, okay, because it's everyday low pricing. Next, you have the high-low pricing. Okay, high-low pricing, which involve charging higher prices on an everyday basis, but running a frequent promotions to lower prices temporarily on selected items. So this is typically done by many grocery stores, yeah, or supermarkets, which on the weekdays, for example, they will just charge a high prices, but then over the weekend, okay, they do a promotion every weekend with lowering those prices of certain products or certain items temporarily. It's only just for that particular weekends. Next, you have the value-added pricing, which attaches the value-added features and services to differentiate the company's offer and thus their higher prices. In this case, you charge higher prices other than the normal or everyday prices by adding some added features or added values. Okay, for example, if you want to buy from typical or other normal grocery stores, okay, perhaps the environment in that particular stores is very crowded, okay, or there are too many people, of course with the social distancing kind of thing. All right, if you want to go to that particular supermarket, for example, you have to queue very long, okay, and to wait for so long before you come inside the shop. But there is another shop that offers a higher prices. However, even though the prices are higher, but it is so convenient for you to come inside that particular shop, whereby they're a very systematic kind of system that they do. When people come, you have a very nice ambience, you feel very comfortable, you're not going to be very hot inside that particular shop, okay, and they offers service personnel, for example, an assistant to always help you to carry your products, or to even push your cart. All right, that will add certain prices, okay, or higher prices on top of the normal prices that you have to pay. So basically you're paying for that services or that value added kind of thing that is given to them. One good example is that I prefer to go to Takyong, you know, at the spring there. Although prices are at Takyong is quite expensive compared to other shops, like for example CS Supermarket or Golden Dragon Company, or I think EMAT also. A lot of people says that at EMAT there are a lot of cheap stuff there, and but then although those places offers the cheap prices, right, but then to go there is very troublesome. Okay, and the ambience inside the particular shop is not that comfortable. All right, so if I go to Takyong, then I will be able to have an ample space between one aisles to another aisles, all right, and I can push the trolley easily. Okay, unlike in CS Supermarket, it is very cramped, and if you have a, you can't even have a trolley inside there. You have to have your what I call the push cart, is it, which is so difficult for you to navigate, right? So yeah, it all depends on how people wanted to buy things, yeah, whether they want to have the cheapest price, but then you have to go towards some troubles or some inconveniences, or you would rather buy things at a little bit expensive prices with the experience or the environment that is very convenient, right? So that is when you can charge higher prices and people still wanted to buy because of these value added features. Alright, next one is the cost-based pricing. Okay, you are the finance students, right? So you know about costing, right? So it is set based on the cost of producing, distributing, and selling the product plus a fair rate of return on effort or the risk that you have to take. So there are fixed costs, okay, which are the costs that do not vary, meaning it is a fixed cost lah, you know, fixed costs, okay, such as the rental, the heat. Here we don't really have heat, we have the air conditioner lah, paying of all those electricity. Because in the supermarket, for example, or in the shopping malls, right, your electricity bills will be typically distributed equally among the other tenant. All right, so it all depends on your square feet. Okay, how big is your shop? So perhaps they will charge per square feet, let's say 2 ringgit. So the bigger the square feet that you have, because of course your location or the space in your shop does not change. Yeah, if you have like 100 square feet, that means every month you will have to pay that 100 square feet amount of electricity. Okay, the interest also typically fixed, and also the salaries of your workers, which is not included as your part-time workers or daily workers. Yeah, this is your permanent workers, because their salaries are typically fixed. Next is the variable cost. So you know variable cost will change, okay, as the production increase. Variable cost will increase. For example, the raw materials and also the packaging costs. As you produce more, cost of your products will, variable cost will increase. And then you have the total cost, which is the sum of fixed and variable costs for any given level of production. So total cost equal to total fixed cost plus variable cost. This is just an explanation of the cost per unit at different level of production per period. I don't think I have to explain to you this, because you are a finance student. You should know about the quantity produced and also the cost per unit. Yeah, as you know, fixed cost typically you have a straight line, right? While the variable cost, then you have the graph that is going up. Let me see if I can draw. Yeah, I think I can draw. So typically you have a fixed cost. Assume this is a straight line, yeah, FC, right, you call it. Okay, and then let me get another color. Right, so your variable cost will increase over a period of time, and also as you produce more. Okay, so when you have let me get my pointer back. Okay, so this is the cost behavior in fixed cost size plant, whereby it is always like this. Okay, while the cost behavior of a different size plants or different sizes of production, yeah, it will fluctuates. Okay, but however, you will be able to see that the cost per unit will always be cheaper at certain time, or when you reach the economies of scale, or when you can actually have the economy of scale. You know economies of scale, right? If you do not know, please ask me in the WhatsApp group. Yeah. So this is the curve, whereby cost per unit as a function of accumulated production, which the experience curve. You will see that as you produce more units, the cost per unit will be lowered down. Okay, now you have the cost plus pricing, which adds a standard markup to the cost of the product. The benefit of this cost plus pricing is that the seller are certain about the cost, okay, and price competition can be minimized. And also buyers will also feel that it is fair to buy the product. However, the disadvantages is that it ignores the demand. Okay, so they don't know whether, or they don't really bother whether there is a demand on the product or not, and also they ignore the competitor prices. That is the cost plus pricing. You know what it means, right? Basically, you have the cost, the cost base just now, plus certain markup, okay, or certain percentage of markup of the profit that you wanted to earn. All right. Okay, next you have this break-even pricing, also known as the target return pricing, which is setting price to break even on cost or to make a target return. Okay, so from this chart you'll be able to see that at this particular point, it is where you are at break even. Okay, you can go through this one in your textbook and see further. If you don't understand, please ask me, okay, in the WhatsApp group. This is an example, alright, the break-even volume and profit at different prices, where these are the prices that you can charge with the unit demand needed to break even. So this is when they did the calculation, or they can do it in the system, yeah, where they input the quantity, okay, quantity, and also how much that cost will incur, and the profit that they will be getting. Alright, so you see that not necessarily you charge high prices at $22, you will get more profit, you see, okay, because you'll be able to see the expected demand at a given price. Of course, if it is very cheap, a lot of people will buy, right? But if it's very expensive, it's good to your company, but customer may not buy. So in the end, you might suffer the losses, okay? Okay, so lastly, the comparison based pricing, which is so easy and very simple, because you are setting the price of your product based on your competitors' strategies, competitors' cost, prices, and also their marketing offering. This is basically by looking at your competitors' price. So if your competitor give a price at $5 for their product, you are also setting the price at $5 for your product. Okay, and if your competitor do a lot of promotion like buy one free one, you might also want to do similar promotion like 50% off kind of thing. All right, so that is by just looking at your competitors. Okay, moving on to the third learning objective, which is the last part in this chapter, the first part of the chapter, identifying and also defining the other important external and internal factors affecting the firm's pricing decision. Basically, when you do the what they call it pricing decision, yeah, you might look at your overall marketing strategy or objectives, and also your marketing mix. First one, you may want to look at your target costing, which start with an ideal selling price based on customer value, and then target cost at which it will ensure that the price is met. Okay, so meaning you will look at how much customer will want to buy, and look at your cost, and then you try to find the balance in between. Okay, next consideration, which includes the organizational consideration. This is that typically the management decision. Yeah, the management will ask the question like, who should set the price? Should the management set the price? Should the factory or the plant or the manufacturing team set the price, or should they look at the competitors' price? Okay, or should they ask the customer how much they are willing to buy the product? Okay, and organization or company should also see and answer. Sorry, the company should also answer who can influence the prices. Okay, can they themselves influence it? If you are holding the large market share of your product, okay, or the customers, perhaps you can do this, can have a very high influence toward the price. Okay, or sometimes it could also be because of the government, all right, or political and legal factors. All right, so there are some consideration that the organization need to answer. Should they set the price? Okay, or it could be other parties or other organization, and also can they influence the price or not? Okay, if they set high prices, will the competitors and others will also set high? Or if you set it at lower prices, will your competitors also start to set at lower prices? Next, you also need to consider the market and demand. Okay, before setting the prices, marketers should understand the relationship between price and demand for its product. Of course, like I told you just now, the cheaper the price, the higher will be the demand, right? And if the higher is the price, or which is very expensive, demand will tend to be low. But it is not all the time, yeah, and it always depending on the types of product. Okay, whether it's a convenient products, a specialty product, okay, or a shopping products. Okay, next one, the pricing in different types of market by looking at the market here, whether you are in a pure competition monopolistic competition, oligopolistic, and also pure monopoly. I think you have learned this in your economy, isn't it? Okay. Next, analyzing the price-demand relationship, you might look at the demand curve, which shows the number of units the market will buy in a given period at different prices. Okay, so this is what I told you just now. Higher demand or at lower prices. Okay, higher prices at lower demand, because it has this negative relationship, yeah, between demand and also the price. If demand goes up, price typically low, and if price is high, demand typically low. Okay. Next, look at price elasticity of demand. Okay, when we talk about price elasticity, it's a measure of sensitivity of demand to changes in the price. Okay, that is elastic. Meaning to say, if there is a slight changes in the price, demand will of course change. Okay, while when you talk about inelastic demand, it is when demand hardly changes with any changes in the price. Okay, which regardless price goes up or price goes down, demand is typically constant. Okay, unlike this price elastic, when price goes up, demand quickly will go down, or if price goes down, demand will quickly goes up. Okay, and when you talk about elastic demand, it is when demand changes greatly with a small change in the price. Next one is with the last one here is the economy and also other external factors, which includes the economic condition, of course, like what we are having now. You can, if you realize, yeah, I don't know, maybe you don't go out, but if you go out and you see at the grocery stores, prices are going up. Yeah, a lot of things are getting more expensive now, right? So the economic condition is predicted to be in recession over the next year. Okay, so be prepared with that. Then you will see that a lot of prices will goes up, right? First we have the inflation, and then later on we have the recession. Okay, and also it all depends on the resellers response to the price, because resellers will typically get their product from their what they call it, manufacturer, or from the wholesalers, right? So as these manufacturers charge higher prices, okay, then the resellers will respond to that price, and therefore will charge higher prices also to sell to the customers. And then you have the government. Of course, government will actually control the prices. So that's why our government is playing a really good what they call it, role in making sure that prices are not going to be very expensive, where they only set the ceiling prices, especially on the food and also agricultural products. Yeah, and also some social concerns towards the price. Okay, that is when remember when the COVID last month, yeah, or last 2 months, when COVID-19 first started, people are very concerned that the prices of face masks going to be very expensive, right? Because yeah, the things are very scarce, meaning bukan demand, what they call it, production. Okay, production is low because a lot of factories are not operating, so products are very scarce or very limited. Okay, so people demanding for that particular product, and yet it's very expensive. So that's the hand sanitizers, right? So things are getting more expensive, and people are very concerned about that particular price. So that is when government intervention comes in. All right, so that's all in the first part of this chapter, and we'll continue the second part of chapter 7 in another video. Okay guys, bye.